I'm Dave, and this is Austin Eats. This is Burger Challenge Day. I'm going to cook two different burgers, both 5-ounce burgers made from 75% Wagyu brisket and 25% prime top sirloin that I'm going to grind and mix together. The difference is going to be in how I cook them. Both will be cooked inside the Kamado Joe. One will be over just charcoal, so just a grilled burger, and the other will be cooked on a sear plate inside the Kamado Joe on top of a little bit of Wagyu beef tallow. So it's a smash burger versus a grill burger. We're going to find out which one's best right here on Austin Eats.
I'm going to make 2 pounds of ground meat today. I'm starting with some Wagyu chuck roast, 3 pounds in total. This is going to simply get cut in half and the rest of it saved for another day. So once it's out of the package, I'm simply going to cut this right down the middle, and it doesn't matter which half I use. Then I'm going to take that half and cut it into about 2-inch chunks. Set that aside for now. I also have some top sirloin, some prime top sirloin, so I need another ½ pound of this in order to make my ground meat. There we go. So this is just going to get cut in, well, can't really do 2-inch pieces on this because it's so thin, but cut it up along with half of the Wagyu chuck. The marbling in this meat just looks fantastic. That is going to make some great burger. So now that it's cut, I'm going to weigh it out just to make sure that I have 1.5 pounds on the nose of my Wagyu chuck and ½ pound of my top sirloin. Now it's time to light the grill. After you cut your meat up, you're going to want to put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes. Cold meat is a lot easier to grind. My first grind is with the larger grinder attachment. So I always grind my meat twice. And the reason for that is I get a better consistency. So first time through is with the larger attachment. And by the way, I just mixed up the top sirloin with the Wagyu brisket up in the tray. And it all gets mixed when it gets ground. Now, as soon as that's done, it's time to change the plate. Now, my grinder, I just unscrew the front of it, pull out that plate, and replace it with a different plate that has smaller holes. Just that simple. Now I'll put on the new plate, get the meat out of the threads there, and then tighten this down, and I'm ready to do the second grind. It's just that simple. Here we go. So the second grind is looking good. This meat is going to make a very, very good burger. So now all I have to do is weigh out the patties. For these burgers, I'm going to make 5-ounce burgers. Now to actually form these burgers, it is important, number one, to weigh it out. That way all the burgers are consistent. And the second important point is to use a burger press. Then they're the same thickness and the same diameter. Makes a big difference. So it's just a matter of taking that meat that I've weighed out, squeeze it into a ball, cover it with a piece of parchment, and then press it down with the burger press. Lift off the parchment, and I have a patty. I'm going to do that 5 more times, and then I'm ready to cook. You'll notice that I left the parchment on the underside of the patty. That just makes it a lot easier to get on the grill. Flip them over and peel that off, and I'm cooking.
So I have half of each burger here. Why half? Well, my wife was hungry and I had to give something up. I have 2 burgers cooked from the same meat. This was a 75% Wagyu brisket and 25% prime sirloin. These burgers were made at the same time from the same cuts of meat. They are both served on a sourdough brioche bun with beef tallow. That's a great video, by the way. I urge you to watch that one. And both simply are accompanied by a little bit of American cheese, real American cheese, some burger lettuce, and a very thin slice of sweet onion. I've also used a burger sauce that I like that is basically a knockoff of an In-N-Out burger sauce. The recipe is in the comments below. So, the moment of truth. First, I'm going to try the burger that was simply grilled on the grill grate over the coals in the Kamado Joe. Then I'm going to try the other burger. By the way, these are both 5 ounce. The other burger was a smash burger that was grilled actually in a bit of beef tallow, Wagyu beef tallow. I showed you the video when they were cooking, and there was a big difference between how the two looked. The beef tallow burger had a nice charred finish all over it, whereas the burger on the grill only had grill marks. Whether that's going to make a difference or not, let's find out. First up is the grilled burger. Well, first of all, this is a fantastic burger. I love making my own meat. The reason that I like making the meat is I get to control what's in it and how much fat is in it, and I just think it makes a better product. So that is actually a star burger. I would love to eat the other half of that as well. But we have to try the other burger. This is very interesting. Both burgers are really good. Both taste very fresh. You can really taste the sauce. You can taste just fresh meat. You can taste the fantastic bun. But there is a difference in the flavor of these two burgers. The grilled burger is absolutely fantastic. I have nothing bad to say about it. However, the burger that was seared in a little bit of beef tallow has a little bit extra depth to it. It is a little crunchier, by the way, and that's probably due to how it was cooking, and I showed you the video on that. But more than that, there's a depth of the flavor that must be coming from the beef tallow. If I had to eat only one burger, that would be it. There you have it. Back to lunch. So good. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Austin Eats.
This was one awesome burger. In fact, it was probably the best burger that I think I've ever made. Give it a try. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, let me know. And please subscribe. I've got new videos coming out every week. See you next time on Austin Eats.